Hello again. Today, our Psalm of Ascent is Psalm 124. And I invite you to pray this along with me at this time. Psalm 124. If the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel say. If the Lord had not been on our side when people attacked us, they would have swallowed us alive when their anger flared against us. The flood would have engulfed us. The torrent would have swept over us. The raging waters would have swept us away. Praise be to the Lord, who has not let us be torn by their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the fowler's snare. The snare has been broken. We have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Friends, this psalm is a psalm of hazard. It is a psalm of hazard and of help, of naming in times of hazard, in times of danger, in times of darkness, that God is indeed for us, that God is our help and our strength. Quite often in times that we're living in right now, such as COVID-19, when there's a lot of darkness around, when there's a lot of struggle and brokenness, we oftentimes feel we have to somehow defend God, especially when we come across psalms like this, which name that God is our help in times of trouble. We feel we have to defend God on why these things are happening. But our role as Christians is not to have to defend God. It's not to defend God. But our role as Christians is one of witness, to witness what is happening around us and to witness where God is. And that is exactly what the Psalms are. The Psalms are a witness to life. The Psalms don't sweep things under the rug, but the Psalms name our darkness and brokenness and hazards in life. And they also name how God is oftentimes present within those things. Eugene Peterson writes, again, in a long obedience, in the same direction. Sorry, lost my marking there. He writes, good poetry survives not when it is pretty or beautiful or nice, but when it is true, accurate, and honest. The Psalms are great poetry and have lasted, not because they appeal to our fantasies and our wishes, but because they are confirmed in the intensities of honest and hazardous living. Psalm 124 is not a selected witness, inserted like a commercial into our lives to testify that life always goes better with God. It is not part of a media blitz to convince us that God is superior to all the other gods on the market. It is not a press release. It is an honest prayer. This psalm looks into the darkness and the hazard and the hurt of life. It talks about the feelings or the times when we feel like we are going to be swallowed whole by those things that seem to oppress us. It names those times when we feel that the flood of life is going to engulf us and just sweep us away. It talks about those times when we feel we're going to be torn apart by all the contradicting and things that are swirling around us. It talks about when we feel caged, when we feel that we're trapped. And maybe that's how many of us are feeling right now in kind of this social distancing time, that we are caged and that we are trapped all around us by kind of the darkness and the evil that swirls around us in the form of a virus. But again, Peterson writes, Psalm 124 is an instance of a person who digs deeply into the trouble, but finds there the presence of God who is on our side. In the details of the conflict, of the minuteness of personal history, the majestic greatness of God becomes revealed. Faith develops out of the most difficult aspects of our existence, not the easiest. The psalm looks into the brokenness of life and gives witness to that brokenness, but it doesn't stop there. It then seems to look even deeper into that darkness to see where God is alive, where God is working with his mercy, as we talked about in the last video, where God is working with his grace and his love, where he is working to protect us and to redeem us. It's looking to the God who dwells within the hurt and within the pain that we experience in life. It is looking for the dwelling of God in these times when we feel we are going to be swept away by the flood, torn apart, swallowed alive, or caged. This psalm gives words to those who can sing kind of that great hymn, "It is well with my soul." And friends, we can trust that God is in the darkness and the dirtiness and the hazard of life that we live. Just because we experience these things does not mean that God doesn't exist, but it means, and as we see on the cross, that God is with us in these times. Once again, Peterson writes, "Every day I put my hope on the line. I don't know one thing about the future. I don't know what the next hour will hold. There may be sickness, accident, personal or world catastrophe. Before this day is over, I may have to deal with death, pain, loss, rejection. I don't know what the future holds for me, for those I love, for my nation, or with this world. Still, though, despite my ignorance and surrounded by tiny optimists and cowardly pessimists, I say that God will accomplish his will, and I will cheerfully persist in living in the hope that nothing will separate me from Christ's love." Amen.